American food is rooted in African American traditions. The soul of African American cuisine has traveled from pre-enslavement with yams and okra of Benin, Africa, to the rice in South Carolina that built this nation's wealth. It was down in South Texas where the last enslaved people were freed on June 19, 1865, commonly known as Juneteenth. It was there that they ate red-colored foods like red velvet cake, which symbolized the blood that was shed for hundreds of years. This was the birth of soul food. It's food that you feel when you eat it. It's food that honors the connection from our ancestors to those living today, to those who have yet to manifest. It's a path that informs many of the modern day phrases that you hear today. High on the hog, which refers to the good feeling that Black folks have after eating every scrap left over from the pig that was served to our colonizers, slave masters, and their families. If you can't take the heat, get out the kitchen. Refer to the Dutch ovens and stew stoves with open fires that left many with burns. Soul food isn't only connected to the South. However, Black chefs in the North also created and utilized delicacies from land and sea. Thomas Downing was the Oyster King of New York. In Philadelphia, Hercules and James Hennings were the founding chefs of African American cuisines who cooked for Presidents George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. They also created some of the country's most popular dishes, including macaroni and cheese. It was also in Philadelphia where the Dutrell family created catering and served fancy dishes such as Bellevue broth, crab salad on crackers, greens, and pepper pot stew. Despite their dangerous and at times deadly circumstances, African Americans were able to survive their oppression and create a cuisine that represented their pride, resourcefulness, creativity, and strength. It was good food, God food, soul food. Enslaved Africans weren't allowed to keep any livestock besides chickens because they were small and didn't take up much space on the property. They spiced the chicken, breaded it, and seasoned it with paprika and other spices brought over from West Africa, then fried it in hot palm oil. Due to the West African tradition and the ingredients being so expensive, at the time African Americans only ate fried chicken on special occasions. So let's talk about macaroni and cheese. While Thomas Jefferson often gets credit for popularizing mac and cheese in the US, it was his enslaved Black chef James Hennings who learned how to cook it. In the antebellum South, mac and cheese was a food for weekends and celebrations. Many African Americans have continued that tradition to this day. Let's talk about whiting fish. African Americans have been associated with fishing since the early days of slavery. To this day, fried fish has been a staple in Black communities across the U.S., being birthed from Saturday night slave cookouts to South Carolina fish camps to Delta juke joints. A lot of modern day theories include that the Nation of Islam had a major influence on why fried whiting became popular. The organization urges members to move towards eating more fish, and they opened up fish eateries where the chapters were located. In 1974, the Nation of Islam introduced an international buying program through which they purchased and sold hundreds and thousands of pounds of whiting fish within Black neighborhoods. Because catfish was seen as such a bottom feeder, it was prohibited food to Black Muslims. Whiting was a great alternative because the texture closely resembled catfish at a cheaper price.
My earliest memory of soul food, I would have to say I was probably a child, and it was more than likely a holiday. I can specifically remember going to my grandparents' houses for like Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, stuff like that, and us having full spreads of all the stuff that makes us feel good, from fried chicken to mashed potatoes, baked mac and cheese, and then you gotta kick in some desserts, some German apple cake on one side, sweet potato pie on the other. Soul food is the kind of food that makes people happy, right? That's why some people call it comfort food, because it makes you feel warm, it makes you feel comfortable, it's very welcoming, and it allows your waistband to expand. I just believe that food brings people together. I believe that food and fellowship are very important components to life. And so I knew how to make it. I watched my mama, I watched my grandmama, I watched my aunties in the kitchen getting down, and it inspired me to follow that path professionally. No, All different races have their own version of soul food, food that warms the soul, food that makes you happy, food that gives you a memory of a time and you did something, right? And you might have remembered a family gathering, or you might remember a loved one who's no longer here, all because you ate a dish that was familiar to that time. To me, soul food is the tightest verse over the dopest beat. You ever hear a song that just make you feel good inside? The moment you hear it, you just start jamming. That is what soul food is. It is something that gets you all warm and fuzzy. It can be nostalgic. It can be sentimental, especially if it's good. If it's good soul food, then you already know. You already know to wear your leggings and your sweatpants. You already know that it's going to be some good food, good music, good atmosphere, good people. So soul food to me is like the perfect R&B song. It just gets you in the mood to eat.